Alrighty, so Beguiling got recently added to the PTR for World of Warcraft and has been met with a little bit of interesting criticisms. So basically, it ends up summoning these three handmaidens, the Tides, the Void, and the Enchanted, and they do three different things. If you guys saw my last video, I talked about like potentially what could end up happening. There was a speculation article that was also on Wowhead that ended up kind of nailing down by a pretty decent amount like what was actually going to be expected of these handmaidens. And I'm going to try to kind of go through what these handmaidens are going to be looking to do. So first off, we got the Tides, which is like the water one. So basically, it has like a dome around it, and it makes the mobs inside the pack non-CCable, non-interruptible, just pretty much everything. So it's really, really obnoxious. But the Tides Handmaiden itself is CCable. So you're going to end up treating it like Infested. You're going to like sap it, you're going to freezing trap it, you're going to root it. You're going to use some of the CC in order to be able to get the mob like CC'd off to the side, paralysis or whatever else. And then you're going to do like 2 packs together or 3 packs together or whatever like that. And then you're going to end up doing the Tides by itself. So overall, it's a little bit better than Infested, but you're going to end up treating it the same, especially if there are 2 Tides near one another. There's no real issue with you not just doing them together and then like doing the packs around it kind of together. So that's definitely something that you should be looking to do. So overall, that's very similar to how you would end up treating Infested in the current state. We got the Void, which it's really overtuned right now is short of it. Basically, it's a hard DPS check where the Void Handmaiden gains 50% more damage per successful cast. And then the mob also has True Sight, but there seems like there's like significantly less Void Emissaries on the map in general, so you might be able to skip all of them under most circumstances. Of course, there's like something like in Temple of Sethralis right now, there's one of these Void Emissaries tied to the Dervishes, which is like, I don't really understand how you're supposed to be looking to do the Void Emissary if it's also tied to the Dervishes, because this AoE from this mob does so much damage. Additionally, since it does also have True Sight, it seems like it should be pulled pretty much 100% of the time. Even though there are less of them, if it's in a pretty challenging pack, it might make some dungeons just like not doable for that week. So we're going to definitely be looking to see how Void ends up getting handled. I would expect to see that it gets like nerfed to some degree because the cast and the damage that it does on the cast is entirely too high right now. So we got the Enchanted and the Arcane, which is my favorite so far. So basically it has like a barrier around it and it ends up reflecting damage inside the barrier. But it's really easy to deal with this Handmaiden. So it'll end up like despawning after 30 seconds, but you end up just like hitting it with like some filler abilities. Most of the time it'll be like your healer or some other person just ending up like throwing like a Moonfire, Sunfire, just some filler abilities out onto that Handmaiden to keep knocking it back. You can also use Typhoons or Ring of Pieces or Ursul's Vortexes if you are so inclined. But in general, you should just be looking to probably just like knock it back or whatever else. You can't CC it, which otherwise you would just like root it, right? But it's fine overall. So basically, you're just going to pull all the mobs out of it, and it's like it's the easiest to deal with, and I think it's the least difficult of all of them as well. And I think it's also the most fun. So something that was very clear to me is that all these handmaidens are affected by affixes, and that's some next level shit. The fact that that can be affected by bolstering, the fact that they spawn explosives, just like all of that stuff makes them pretty rough, like a lot of the time. Especially that bolstering one, watching those handmaidens get bolstered, it makes that Void Handmaiden almost not doable just because like if you have to pull it with the pack of trash that it's associated with too. The Handmaiden is LOSable, or outrangeable, I guess, so you could just potentially walk away 60 yards and then just not take any damage from it as it continuously channels. There might end up being some shenanigans with how you end up shadow melding off that mob, so we might see Alliance just become incredibly strong again, where you end up doing the pack that's around the Void Handmaiden, and then you end up just shadow melding it off. So there's a lot of stuff that can end up being issues with Beguiling moving forward, but overall, I'm kind of sad that there's no positive side to this seasonal effects too, and there's no incentive to be pulling these. You just have to pull them because you have to get count on the instance. And the reason that Ian said that it was going to diversify your pulls, I think it might be because you're not supposed to, you're not intentionally supposed to pull that Void Handmaiden under like any circumstances, especially in the current situation where it's like, well, I can't pull that. That mob does entirely too much damage to the whole entire group. So you literally just try to have to avoid it at all costs. And then you just kind of have to figure out an alternative path. In addition to that, we don't know entirely too much what they meant by week to week changes of the handmaidens, whether or not the handmaidens themselves will completely move pack to pack, or if the handmaidens have set locations and then like the assigned handmaidens will change week to week. So that's something that we should also be looking forward to moving forward with Beguiling and how the seasonal affix works out. For me personally, kind of disappointed that there's no positive side to this affix. Overall, I would have preferred to have seen something that ends up making it a little bit more fun as opposed to more tedious. The Tides is a little bit better take on how Infested should have worked, but at the same time, it's kind of obnoxious. The Enchanted Arcane one, I would say it's a pretty strong handmaid, and then the Void, of course, is just overtuned. It's mandatory to pull because it does have also True Sight, and then you have to either blow like huge amounts of cooldowns on it, like 3-minute cooldowns, but potentially Bloodlust, stuff like that. So there's no real recourse for pulling it because it's just so challenging overall. So that's going to be interesting to see how it ends up shaking out. So overall, I hope you guys liked the video. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.